All right, today we're jumping into a really fascinating framework for relationship dynamics from Alina Chamberlain's work. It suggests a pretty deep connection between our internal state and, well, our external reality.
So, could the secret to changing your relationship actually be physics? It's a pretty wild question, right? But the idea we're digging into today suggests that what we often chalk up to luck or chemistry in our relationships, well, it might not be random at all. The theory is that it's actually governed by principles rooted in biology and, you could say, physics.
Okay, let's dive into the core idea here. The whole premise is that our internal state, our feelings, our stress levels, it isn't just in our heads. It's actually a physical force that we're constantly broadcasting out into the world around us. So, the way this framework sees it, your internal frequency, which is really just the vibration of your nervous system and your emotional state, is shaping your reality moment to moment. The idea is you're not just talking to someone. You're interacting with what the author calls their entire electromagnetic field. It's a meeting of two vibes, really.
So, how does this whole broadcasting your frequency thing actually play out in a relationship? Well, it all comes down to something the author calls the law of resonance. This law basically says that the woman, and the author suggests this is because she has a more complex sensory system, acts as the leading frequency. Think of her as the baseline tone for the entire partnership. Her state, in this view, is what sets the whole energetic vibe for both of them. And I love how this slide breaks it down. It's a great visual. The woman's nervous system is like a tuning fork, right? So when she's calm and peaceful, she's sending out these smooth, coherent waves. And the man's system, well, it's naturally drawn to that. It's like he's looking for that quiet harbor to sync up with. And that's what gives him clarity. But, and this is the key part, if her field is all chaotic and stressed, his system can't find that calm. It starts to fret, it gets agitated, anxious. And that's when things can start to go sideways. All right, so if the woman is setting the tone, how does the man actually respond? This leads us to the next big idea, the mirror principle. And this is where it gets really interesting, because it completely flips the script on how we usually think about relationship problems. The law of resonance gets rid of the whole idea of blame and replaces it with reflection. So instead of pointing fingers at your partner for how they're acting, this framework says they're basically acting like a biological amplifier. They're just reflecting your own hidden internal states right back at you. Wild, right? And you can see here it breaks down into two main types of reflection. First, you've got shadow resonance. This is when maybe you have some suppressed negativity like distrust or frustration that you're broadcasting out. And what gets mirrored back? Emotional coldness, maybe a need for control. But on the flip side, you have radiant resonance. This is when you're broadcasting genuine self-love and joy. And the reflection, your partner almost automatically becomes more romantic and attentive. This quote just nails the whole concept. He is merely playing the role dictated by the vibration you are currently broadcasting. It's a powerful idea. It suggests his behavior isn't just coming out of nowhere. It's a direct response, like an actor playing a part based on the script, the frequency that you're giving him. So the obvious question is, what if you're stuck in one of these negative loops, what the author calls low-frequency resonance? How do you actually get out of it, according to this framework? And the answer proposed here is really counterintuitive for a lot of us. It's not about talking it out. In fact, the source argues that just trying to use logic and conversation, well, it usually doesn't work. The real key, it says, is to first change your own physical, your own somatic state. So how do you do that? The source lays out this very specific three-step physical process. It calls it changing the station on your personal broadcast. First, you consciously drop your breath down into your lower belly. Then, you intentionally soften your jaw, a place where we hold so much tension. And finally, you shift your attention back down to the warmth in your pelvis. The idea is that this physical shift literally changes your frequency and dissolves that energetic hook that negativity latches onto. Okay, so that's the emergency fix. But what about day-to-day? Let's look at a practical tool the author gives for managing and tuning this resonance all the time. This little practice is called tuning the fork, and it's pretty straightforward. Step 1 is a somatic diagnosis. You just close your eyes, picture your partner, and notice the very first sensation in your body. Is it a tightening, a contraction, or is it a feeling of openness, of expansion? That's your diagnostic.
Step 2 is the frequency shift. So in a tense moment, you do that same thing. You lower your breath down to what the source calls your womb center and just imagine radiating a soft golden light. And the final step is just to observe. You hang out in that state for 15-20 minutes without trying to make anything happen, and just notice how the energy between you two starts to soften. It's about seeing that law of resonance in real time. And really, this is the master secret of the whole framework. It boils down to this. You cannot change another person. You just can't. But what you can change is the vibration, the frequency on which you meet them. The idea here is that the change in them is the effect, not the cause. The cause starts with you. And that leaves us with this final, really provocative thought from the source material. If you wish to see a king by your side, you must first begin to vibrate at the frequency of a queen. It really frames this entire concept as an active embodiment, that you have to become the reality you want to attract, and your partner and the world around you will ultimately have no choice but to resonate with the inner state that you cultivate.